Hello YouTube, it is Damien, it is Sunderland, it is Bright Lights, it is episode 83 of Bright Lights, and it's the end of season special / transfer look ahead for the next upcoming season. It's not an episode that we really do, but considering that the league was pretty much over about 4 or 5 games ago when we did beat Chelsea, there was no need to really go scout to show the Man City game or to show any of the other games. It was just a matter of where we finished. We did finish where we did expect, which was second. We did hold out. In terms of our fixtures, we go to the club. It's probably best to see it in the club screen and view our fixtures from here. If we go all the way down to when we last met, which was at Chelsea 3-0, we then beat City 3-0 in a very similar game. You know, we obviously pumped Chelsea in terms of creating chances. We didn't pump them in terms of possession, but the Man City game, we pumped them in terms of creating chances and possession, and you don't do that to City too often, and we absolutely battered City off the park. We then went and drew 2-2 to Brentford in a very weird game. We scored in the 93rd minute to win it, so I thought, and I was like over the moon, and then they scored in the 95th. Bit of a weird one, probably deserved the draw out of that. Brentford have been really good in the Prem. I'm very happy that they're staying up and that they're going to be in and around because I feel like they have been good value this year. We then beat Arsenal 4-1 in a game that we created every little chance that we took. Saying that, Arsenal hit us right back from a corner, but Declan Rice had a shocker. This is not the first time we've beaten Arsenal, and this is not the first time we've put 4 goals past Arsenal. Anyone remember that FA Cup final we won 4-3? I do. And then the last game of the season, we did draw 3-3 in a crazy game against Southampton. We actually lost Ives right on half-time. He got sent off for a dirty challenge that he didn't need to commit. And then from there, we couldn't hold on, unfortunately. Roger scored in the 56th minute to equalise. To be honest, even after the red card, we probably still had enough chances to win, but so did they, so probably a draw is fair. Unfortunately, for Southampton, they needed to win on the final day to stay up, and by drawing, went down in the 18th spot. Very unlucky for them, but they probably deserve to go down, Southampton. And you might see me actually go and see if any one of these players here are actually worth scouting. I think that Southampton squad probably won't be worth scouting. That's not the wonder kid Boschilla that I've been looking at. Sergio Ojo might be not bad backup player. But, there's probably worth scouting the squad of Southampton, seeing what there's around. But we are going to get into the awards and so on, and then we'll talk about transfers. And then from there, it will be the end of the YouTube episode. But we currently just went live on Twitch. We're 10 minutes into our stream. Link in the description below, as always, on the YouTube. Come follow us on Twitch, where all the madness happens. The 5-1, the 5-1 that we beat Madrid but lost in away goals, that was live on Twitch, and no one could believe it. We've had games in the past, we couldn't believe it. So why wouldn't you come follow us on the Twitch channel as well? If you are in a Twitch chat, say good day. How's it going? And hopefully you are doing well and not as hot as I currently am. I'm also very happy that Nakamura has won Young Player of the Year. He's grown into this superb winger. Just look at the physicals on the kid. He doesn't miss either. For 10 finishing, he buries opportunities for fun. And look, I can't fault Nakamura. If we go and look at Player of the Year, only 2 players got in for us. It was Ives and Nakamura. Good to see that Ives actually got in there. Ives had a very good year for us. Apparently, he stopped shying away from running with the ball. I don't particularly mind either way if he wants to run with it or not. We have got players inducted to the overall best 11. I believe that people that have been inducted is Adrian, Nakamura. Haller's now in it, Godin's of course in it, will stay in it for a very long time. Miguel's actually in it over Dosek, which I don't know how that's happened. Daniel is in there with Smithies, which is good. David Garcia, Oviedo, Will Burgess is there, but Will Burgess is one of the players we'll talk about pretty soon. In terms of the 2018 team, there's a lot of lads that are out of the way, Smithies, Burgess, Daniel, Durant, Miguel, they're all still at the club. This is when we all brought them in, when we got that Premier League money, that Sunderland side, but they're still here. Nakamura has won Player of the Year just over Haller. Now, Haller had a very underrated year, I feel, YouTube and the Twitch chat. He had 14 assists in the league, but if you look at it in terms of assists, in 34 games total that he played for the club, he had 21 assists. I feel like that just the creative outlet that Haller produces, that great speed, that great crossing, that great dribbling is sensational. This year, for the first time, I really thought that he should have scored a lot more than 7 in the league, and he should have scored a lot more than 7 in total. He didn't score in any of the continental games, which is a bit of a shame, but he was always there or thereabouts. Terms of goal of the year, we know that it's going to be the Adrian one against Arsenal, but we'll get back to that one later. In terms of our season, we were expected to go and qualify in the Euro Cup according to the bookies. We always knew that we were going to be in and around that top 4 spot. Maybe to finish second was a bit beyond us, but our squad's been very well. And look, maybe that FA Cup 6th round defeat to Portsmouth, which thank God wasn't covered in the YouTube episode because it was quite embarrassing to get knocked out by League One Portsmouth in the FA Cup, did hurt our chances of probably getting silverware this year, because I feel like we get through that game, anything's possible in the semi-final and the final at Wembley. A lot more where the squad now. If anybody wants to read that, they can pause it, of course, and have a look. End of team meeting. This is going to be important, what we say here. I want to, in the back of the mind, really want to say I think we can win the title. I just don't think we can win the title. I'm going to tell them that we can finish for the Champions League. Everyone seems happy with that, and I am too. Everyone is like up and about, by the way. The squad is like off the charts. In terms of happiness, pre-season, I'm always happy with 5 things. But this is the big one, is Adrian's getting a little bit of the sniff around from everybody. He's now realised as an elite striker, and come the end of the year, Adrian scored 17 and 32 in the league, but 25 and 37. And if he can keep those numbers up, he's going to be quite the striker. I just don't see how we get a better striker for the money. We don't. He's wanted, I definitely know by Manchester City, but he's also wanted by Bayern. I wouldn't be selling for anything less than 150 million. That might sound extortionate or crazy. I just think that you can't buy a better striker. He's got great pace. He's got great range of passing. He's got great first touch. He's got great off the ball. He's got great composure. He can dribble with the ball. He's a big boy as well. He's got, his jumping reach was better than 10. And his finishing has improved, but not to the level that you would like from an elite striker. I would like that to be in the 15s or the 16s. I'd like that to be gold. His free kick taking is second to none, and that is not more so proven than by the goal where he scored against Arsenal, which unfortunately didn't get in the goal of the year, in the top 3 of goal of the year. I thought it was close, but it wasn't. What we are going to do, though, is after this, after watching Adrian's absolute cracker, that's a free kick and a half. Look how far out he is. Definitely deserves to be our goal of the year. And apparently Tim was our signing of the year. Now, I feel for Tim and his broken leg, because just as he started getting good in the league, and just as his recent form, it's going to say that he was injured, we just get an 8.6, there's a couple of 6.8s, and then there was a 7, he was getting thereabouts. He was just growing into the squad, was Tim. And I've got to keep faith in him next season being back up to Nakamura. Look, there's no way he's leaving. Tadino should look elsewhere. That brings us into the squad, and as soon as I get into the squad, there's a few players that we have to bring out. Joe Smith is quite a good player. He's got that good potential. His determination's improving because he's in part of the mentoring group. He's currently growing into a championship level goalkeeper this season, which is he started at League 2, so to get him into a championship level goalkeeper, sensational. But, he's obviously not going to be first choice next season, and I don't want to play Diogo. I know there's a lot of people say, Damien Smithies, he just can't move anymore. If Smithies could move, I would happily play him because he's obviously a great goalkeeper. He's great to keep around. He's great morale, and he's great to just be in and around. Then there's people that be like, but Diogo. But the thing with Diogo, we've seen it in games in the past, is that he just has moments of madness where he's just poor. I will admit in the Champions League, as much as we conceded 7 goals under Diogo, where he conceded 4 in that Real Madrid game, he was actually not a bad keeper. Look, if someone could give me upwards of about 30 million for this guy, I think we're going to sell. But as you can see, that's one spot that we're going to look to improve on. The second spot is Will Burgess. Now, Will Burgess in that Real Madrid game had a bit of a shocker. He wasn't the greatest. He has those moments where he's just a little bit mad, isn't he? He loves a big game, which is great, and he's a very good rotation option to have. But maybe it is time we go out there and buy a world-class right back to go and match up with Ives and Daniel, who will come back in. We did rotate for that final game of the season. If we were going to put I think our best starting 11 is out there at the moment. And a deep line playmaker there for Dosek on support as well. I think that's like our best moment, our best team. And saying that, though, we probably also need a player in the hole, and we obviously need Adrian in over Avriel. We have to mention Avriel, right? He backup striker, first year in the Premier League, right? We obviously loaned him out we bought him from Sounders. He was a good goal at Sounders. We loaned him out to Sevilla. In that Sevilla season, he scored 20. And this year, 25 games, 15 off the bench, scored 14 goals at a 7.2. He also has played 19 games total and scored 20 goals. So a more than goal to game ratio for Avriel. What a player. He's grown into a player that is just as good as Adrian. And the only reason that I think that we could actually technically sell Adrian for more than 150 mil is that we have this guy here. And this guy could probably score as many goals as Adrian in this one season. I do love that he's really tall. I also really love that he's really great in the air. He's got great headering. He's also very good with his free kicks too. Very similar to Adrian. But Avriel is a very good backup option, and we've actually trained him to play on the left, which means that as a backup option off the bench, he is going to be quite the player for us next season. But as you can see, there's players here that I reckon we need to go and get. We need a goalkeeper. We need, I reckon the rest of the back four is like sensational. Miranda's obviously plays for Spain now, so obviously he's quality. Ives got in Team of the Year. Daniels, on paper, is our best centre-back. So there's another one. He is still wanted. The big interesting thing we have to talk about is Dosek and Durant Miguel. Miguel's currently wanted there by City. Look, if they gave me upwards of 60 million, I don't think we can say no to Durant Miguel. I just think Dosek's that better player. And the form of Dosek since we moved to 4-2-3-1, since that Brighton game, is just astronomical because he was a little bit more involved further up the pitch. And, you know, he had a poor year up until then, and then after that, he was sensational. And I'm glad that Dosek is here and around the club. But I reckon we need a centre attacking mid, a right back, and a goalkeeper. In terms of players that we've already scouted, there is already a player that I think that we need to highlight and we need to maybe go for, and that is Hernan Moreno. It's the only player that I'm going to show you guys on YouTube. Going to really highlight. Link in the description below. Come follow us on Twitch because that's where we do all our big business. You know, I think this guy is quite the player with world-class potential. He's 24. He's already elite. And, you know, 34 to 45 mil was pretty cheap for a player of this quality. It also matters about how much money we can bring in this season. We go back to his stats, you know, in this fullback role in the 4-2-3-1, I'm very tempted to go to attacking fullbacks, and this guy meets the mantra. Obviously, got great work rate, got great physicals, got great decision-making, very good with passing and keeping the ball in a very good system. Great tackling, great crossing for, you know, a right back that got bombing on. I feel like Moreno's the guy that we could bring into here, but there's a few other guys that we've had highlighted as well. For everybody on YouTube, though, that's going to be the end of season sort of review. It's a look at what we might do next season. It definitely highlights who we need to bring in, you know, what form. But we'll see how well we will go in terms of the transfer of everybody on Twitch. If that doesn't get you excited about what's going to come over the next few hours, nothing will. But from Damien, from Sunderland, from Brighton, that is the end of episode 83. And hopefully when I see you for episode 84, we have all the big signings that we wanted and more. Thank you once again, and I'll see you next time. From Damien, from Sunderland, from Bright Lights. Thank you and goodbye.